Luca Müller, 42, a respected architect from Berlin, dedicated to his family and career. He is deeply committed to his work, which often consumes his time, but he prides himself on being a good father and husband. Though quiet and reflective, Luca is sharp and discerning, always noticing the little details. Lately, he's been feeling a growing distance from his wife, but has attributed it to the pressures of their respective careers. Emilia Müller, 38, originally from Milan. Emilia is a successful project manager at a prestigious tech firm in Munich. She's known for her beauty, sharp intelligence, and the way she effortlessly commands a room. Over the last few years, as her career has soared, her connection with Luca has grown strained. Though she loves her husband, she's found herself drawn to the attention and power of others, particularly her boss. Emilia is a woman at a crossroads, torn between her responsibilities and the thrill of temptation. Alexander Weber, 50, the CEO of the tech firm Emilia works for. Alexander is a powerful, commanding figure in the business world. His reputation for ruthless business tactics is matched only by his charm and charisma. Married 3 times, Alexander is no stranger to scandals. He's accustomed to getting what he wants, and recently, his attentions have been focused on Emilia. Alexander sees himself as invincible, unaware of the consequences that are soon to catch up with him. Luca Müller hadn't always been the type of man to question his wife's loyalty. Their relationship had always been built on mutual respect, deep love, and shared dreams. He and Emilia met in their late 20s at a design conference in Paris, both enamored with the creativity and ambition the other exuded. Luca, at the time, was an up-and-coming architect, and Emilia, a freshly graduated project manager with dreams of conquering the corporate world. Their love story had been one for the ages, fast, passionate, and seemingly unbreakable. Over the years, Luca had worked tirelessly to build his career, becoming one of the most sought-after architects in Berlin. His dedication meant long hours in the studio, but Emilia had always been supportive, understanding that this was the life they had chosen. As her own career began to flourish in the fast-paced tech industry, their lives became a whirlwind of business meetings, work dinners, and international travel. But with success came distance. Luca began to notice subtle changes in Emilia. The once lively conversations at the dinner table had been replaced by silence. Her phone seemed to buzz more frequently, and she often came home late, citing work emergencies. She looked at him less, spent more time in front of the mirror before heading to work, and their once intimate evenings were now filled with distant goodnights. The turning point came when Emilia's boss, Alexander Weber, entered the picture. Emilia had spoken of him in passing before, a brilliant but demanding leader who often pushed his employees to the limit. Weber had a reputation in the industry for being ruthless and unyielding, but he was also charismatic and knew how to charm those around him. Luca didn't think much of it initially, assuming it was simply part of Emilia's demanding job. But as time passed, Alexander's name came up more often. He was the one Emilia was constantly texting. He was the one calling late at night for work advice. And, as Luca discovered, he was the one Emilia had been meeting for after-work drinks. Still, Luca chose to trust his wife, convincing himself that it was nothing more than professional camaraderie. After all, Emilia had always been faithful, hadn't she? The company holiday party. The company's holiday party was held in Munich at one of the city's most luxurious hotels. Emilia had invited Luca weeks in advance, but he was hesitant. He never enjoyed these corporate gatherings, fake smiles, shallow conversations, and the ever-looming feeling that he didn't quite fit into Emilia's world anymore. However, Emilia insisted, almost uncharacteristically eager for him to attend. She had been working tirelessly on an important project for months, and this was her chance to celebrate with her colleagues. "It'll be good for you to meet everyone," she had said with a bright smile. "Plus, I want to show you off. You're my talented architect husband." Her charm worked, and Luca reluctantly agreed. The party was grand, just as he had imagined. Lavish decorations, soft jazz music playing in the background, and the scent of expensive perfume and cologne hanging in the air. As they entered the ballroom, Luca couldn't help but feel slightly out of place among the tech moguls and their glamorous spouses. Emilia, on the other hand, was in her element. She floated through the crowd effortlessly, greeting colleagues and clients with an easy grace. Luca watched her from a distance, admiring how beautiful she looked in her emerald green dress. Luca watched her from a distance, admiring how beautiful she looked in her emerald green dress, her dark hair cascading down her shoulders. But something was off. Her smile seemed a little too forced, her laughter too exaggerated. There was a tension in the air that Luca couldn't quite put his finger on. As the night wore on, Luca began to notice Emilia's interactions with Alexander Weber. At first, it was subtle, a lingering glance here, a soft laugh there, but as the champagne flowed, their proximity grew. Alexander's hand would find its way to Emilia's back as they talked, their heads bending close together in whispered conversations. Luca's stomach tightened. He tried to convince himself that it was all innocent. Emilia was simply being friendly with her boss, wasn't she? He excused himself to the bar, ordering a stiff drink to calm his nerves. But the unease gnawed at him, a growing suspicion that he couldn't shake. It was then that he overheard snippets of a conversation between two of Emilia's colleagues. "I mean, it's obvious, right?" one woman whispered to the other. "Everyone knows what's going on between Emilia and Weber. They've been spending so much time together lately. It's practically written all over her face." Luca's heart dropped, his hands clenched around his glass, the room suddenly feeling suffocating. Could it be true? Could Emilia really be involved with her boss? He had to know. As the evening wound down and guests began to leave, Luca decided to follow his instincts. He had noticed Emilia and Alexander slipping away from the main ballroom earlier, heading toward the terrace. The terrace was secluded, with a stunning view of the snow-covered city below. It was a romantic spot, one that Luca had visited with Emilia many times before on their trips to Munich. His heart pounded in his chest as he approached the terrace doors, each step feeling heavier than the last. He could hear faint voices, the sound of laughter, and then silence. Pushing the door open slightly, Luca peeked out, his worst fears coming to life before his eyes. There, under the soft glow of the string lights, was Emilia. Her back was turned to him, but he recognized her immediately. The way her dress shimmered in the moonlight, the way her hair fell in soft waves. And standing in front of her, with his hand resting on her waist, was Alexander Weber. Luca's breath caught in his throat as he watched them, unable to move. They were too close, far too close for it to be just a friendly conversation. Emilia's face was flushed, her eyes locked onto Alexander's. And then, before Luca could process what was happening, she leaned in. The kiss was soft, brief, but it was enough. Enough to shatter everything Luca had believed in. His world crumbled around him as he watched his wife, the woman he had loved and trusted for so many years, share an intimate moment with another man. Time seemed to stand still. Luca felt numb, his mind racing, as he struggled to comprehend the betrayal unfolding before him. He had to leave, had to get away before he lost control. Without making a sound, he turned and walked back into the ballroom, his heart heavy with the weight of what he had just witnessed. Luca spent the next few days in a haze, unable to confront Emilia. He needed time to think, to process what he had seen. Emilia, oblivious to his discovery, continued on as if nothing had changed. She was cheerful, affectionate even, as if trying to make up for the distance that had grown between them over the past few months. But Luca couldn't bring himself to meet her gaze. One evening, as they sat at the dinner table in their Berlin apartment, Luca finally broke his silence. "I saw you," he said quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. Emilia froze, her fork hovering in midair. "What do you mean?" she asked, her tone cautious. "At the party," Luca continued, his eyes fixed on his plate. "With Alexander, I saw everything. The color drained from Amelia's face as the weight of his words sank in. She set her fork down slowly, her hands trembling. Luca, don't, he interrupted, his voice firmer now. Don't lie to me, Amelia. I know what I saw. Tears welled up in Amelia's eyes as she looked at him, her guilt finally catching up to her. I'm so sorry, she whispered, her voice cracking. It was a mistake. I never meant for this to happen. Luca's heart ached as he listened to her, the pain of her betrayal cutting deep. Why? He asked, his voice barely audible. Why him? Why now? Amelia wiped away her tears, struggling to find the words. I don't know, she admitted, her voice filled with regret. I was lonely. You've been so busy with work, and She trailed off, unable to finish. Luca looked at her, his eyes filled with sorrow. I was busy because I thought we were building a life together, he said softly. I thought we were a team. Amelia broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. I'm so sorry, Luca. I never wanted to. Eventually, Luca made the difficult decision to leave. It wasn't easy. There were tears, apologies, and moments of hope. But in the end, he knew that their relationship would never be the same. They parted ways amicably, both knowing that their love had been irreparably damaged. As Luca packed his bags and walked out of their shared apartment for the last time, he felt a sense of closure. He had loved Amelia deeply, but sometimes love wasn't enough. The betrayal had left a scar that would take time to heal. But Luca knew that he would eventually find peace. Looking out at the snowy streets of Berlin, Luca took a deep breath and walked forward, ready to start a new chapter in his life. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts, questions, or comments about this story, feel free to leave them below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more compelling tales.